Hello guys! Since the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator, there's been more and more people joining VATSIM using the new simulator to fly. So I've decided to make this tutorial video to serve as a basic example on how to enjoy the network while using FS 2020. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the very popular community mod, the FlyByWire A320neo. I'm going to take it for a spin on the VATSIM network. I'm going to walk you through how to operate the A320 in a basic manner, as well as how to communicate with air traffic control, set up a flight plan, etc, etc. Now, if you're literally clueless on air traffic procedures or have no idea how to fly a plane at all, this video might not be for you. I'm aiming this video at, I wouldn't say semi-experienced, but people that understand the basic principles of flying a commercial jet. So I will be brushing over some finer details, but all in all this should give you a good idea of how a typical VATSIM flight goes.
Mayday, 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 British Airways 123, complete engine failure, we're going down.
And obviously I'm also going to try and give you a decent idea of how to fly the A320. Anyway, now that I've wiped out about half the people that have clicked on the video, let's continue. I will say I'm not a qualified pilot. I'm not going to be following official real-world procedures that I know of in terms of flying the Airbus. So again, if you came to the video wanting to know how to operate the A320 by the book, this video may not be for you. Anyway, let's dive in. So to install the FlyByWire A320, you're going to want to go to flybywiresim.com. You're going to want to click on this big download button just here, nice and simple, and then click on the download button for the installer and save the file. Once you've got the installer up, you can choose to download over the stable, development or custom build. For today I'm going to be using the development build. Today is the 24th of February, so that's the most up-to-date build. Because the fly-by-wire is an ongoing project, as in it's still being developed, there's a stable build that comes out every couple of weeks, and then there's a development build which is constantly having new features added, so I prefer to use the development build, but there are some bugs, so obviously be aware of that if you're using the development build. The custom FBW build is the same as the development build, it's just got the custom fly-by-wire added, but I'm not going to go into detail on that. Now, to connect to VATSIM, you need something that's called a pilot client, which basically connects your simulator to the network and allows you to chat to ATC. So for Microsoft Flight Simulator, you want to download vPilot. You can download that from vpilot.rosscarlson.dev, and again you just click download and download the installer and run it. Once you've downloaded and installed it, you want to open up, head to settings. Now I'm presuming that you've already made a VATSIM login. If not, it's pretty simple to do. Just head to the VATSIM website and it only takes a matter of minutes. I'm not going to go over that now, but once you have got a VATSIM login, you want to put your CID in here, that's in network, put your password in, you can put your name in or you can use your CID or just your first name, and you can put your home airport as well, and then select your server as to whatever's nearest to you. It just affects the latency you experience. Hit apply, then you can configure your notifications, but you want to head down to audio mainly. Select your microphone and your speakers. I would leave this unchecked, and then just talk normally and adjust your mic volume so that your peak level indicator's in the green band. So as you can see, I'm just talking normally and it's keeping my voice in the green, which is all good, because otherwise you tend to come through to the air traffic controllers like this, and obviously nobody wants to hear that. The last settings that you may be interested in is model matching. Again, I'm not going to go over that in this video, but I will link to a tutorial in the description on how to get accurate model matching in FS 2020. So typically when I'm going to fly on VATSIM, I like to use a website called Vatastic to pick where I'm going to fly from. So on Vatastic you can look at where there's air traffic control, where there's a lot of traffic. You can see what kind of air traffic control. For example, Eurocontrol Maastricht is online over here, as you can see by the big area. So all of that is under control by someone. Or if we come down here to Gatwick Airport, you can see there's an approach controller online, there's tower, there's a ground controller. The other website that I use is SimBrief. SimBrief is how you make your flight plans, basically. So it's again free to make an account. You just have to make an account, then you come up here to dispatch, you create new flight, and you put in all your details and it spits out a flight plan for you. So I'm going to go and have a look at Vatastic and pick where I want to fly today. So I've decided for today I'm going to be flying from Gatwick to Manchester. Now for the purposes of this video, I was hoping to do a flight with full control from departure to destination, but a lot of the time on VATSIM that's not the case. But I will try my best to fill you in on anything you miss out on during the flight, and this will also be a good way to show you how to use Unicom, so I suppose everyone's a winner. So heading over to SimBrief, we're going to fly an EasyJet flight today, so we'll put EZY, which is the EasyJet code. Flight number, smack anything in there, maybe not that. There you go, easy 778, happy days. Departure, we'll put Gatwick. Arrival, we'll put Manchester. It will generate an alternate airport for us, which is going to be Heathrow. That's in case anything goes wrong and Manchester Airport closes, we'll fly to Heathrow. Obviously, something that happens in the real world, not so much on VATSIM. The date, obviously, just check it's today, and the departure, not too important to put it in the flight plan, but you can if you want. For aircraft type, we'll put the A320 in. There we go. Smacks all this in. For cruise profile, from general knowledge, I know that EasyJet's cruise profile is cost index 8, so I'm just going to put that in. There are websites online that will list cost indexes of various airlines. It just affects the efficiency of the aircraft. Due to FlightSim 2020 doing everything in pounds, I'm going to change the units here to pounds. All of this you don't need to worry about, it's all optional. You can put some flight maps on if you'd like, just adds it to your flight plan. Coming down to optional entries, we have the departure runway and arrival runway. As it says here, they're automatically calculated, but the controller on VATSIM may have a different runway in mind for you to use. I'd recommend leaving them as they are until you actually connect to the network and get told what runway is in use. Most of the time it's accurate, sometimes it's not. Now, for the cases of this flight, because I'm flying from Gatwick to Manchester, I am going to be using flight level 180, which is 18,000 feet. The reason I am picking this altitude is because of something called the semicircular rule, which basically determines what altitude you should cruise at. First of all, there's a rule that says in the UK, if you're flying from England and landing back in England, you can't go above flight level 190. And then with the semicircular rule, flights that are going between 360 degrees and 179 degrees must be on an odd flight level, and flights going between 180 degrees and 359 degrees must be on an even flight level. And basically we can determine, if we go onto Vatastic, you can see Gatwick's here, Manchester's here, so we're basically flying north-west, which means we're going to be on an even flight level. Because we can't go above flight level 190, we're going to have to go down to flight level 180, which is obviously even, and that's how you work that out. And then coming down here, it gives us a route, depending on what AIRAC cycle you're running, which is how up to date the navigation data is. This might look different to you, but generally the routes are accurate. The SIDs and stars could change depending on what the controller gives you. SID is obviously the route you take, the departure route, star is the arrival route. I'm not going to go into huge detail on this video, maybe in another one if you like this one. And then we look down, here is what our route will look like. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go up to the top, I'm going to click generate, yes, only takes a moment, and boom, there we go, there is our flight plan. We have a nice massive PDF down here with all the information we're going to need for our flight, and we can load up the sim and get going. Side note, when I fly I tend to scroll down to the bottom here, find the vPilot file and click download and save that, and that just makes it 10 times easier to put my flight plan in to VATSIM when I connect to the network. Waiting for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 to load tends to take a ridiculously long time, especially with all the crap that I've got installed in mine. So while I'm waiting, I tend to tend to the cat, give her a little scratch on the nose, scratch on the head, and within no time the time should have passed and you should be able to get onto the main menu. Now that the simulator's loaded, you're going to want to head into the world map, obviously. You should know how to do this, but I will walk you through it anyway. As I said, we're going from Gatwick, which is down here. We are going to depart from an EasyJet gate, which I'm trying to think. Stand 88 is an EasyJet gate, I believe, so we'll go off from there. You want to turn off multiplayer, turn off air traffic. For weather and time, it is really down to you, but I would recommend using live weather and live time. For the sake of this video, I am going to set it to daytime, just so you can see what I'm doing. So, welcome on board the FlyByWire A320 here at Gatwick. The weather's not too bad. It's actually not bad at all, it's just a little bit cloudier up there. Anyway, so let me bring over vPilot so you can see what I'm doing. I am going to, presuming obviously that you've set up your vPilot correctly, you should be able to just click here, click connect. I'm going to put my call sign in, as I've already done, which is easy778. I'm going to put my type code in, which is A20 November, which is the type code for the A320neo. If you're looking for the type code for a different aircraft, you can find that anywhere online, but obviously this is a tutorial for the A320neo, so we'll be using that. SELCAL code, you don't need that unless you're flying over the Atlantic Ocean usually, so nothing to worry about, you can leave that blank. And then just make sure this box is unticked, click connect, and presuming you set everything up correctly, you should see connected to network and then connected to voice server, and this window on your left should begin populating with plenty of frequencies. I'll give you a cockpit tour in just a moment, but for now we're going to get some power to the aircraft just so we are ready to make contact with air traffic control. So what we're going to do is we're going to head up here to the overhead panel, and you'll see the battery switch just here. There's two switches, just pop them both on and you should hear electricity flowing through the aircraft. Then you want to come here to the external power button. You'll see there's a little green available light on it, which means it's available, the aircraft is plugged into the ground. So to basically flip the circuit breaker for that, to allow the aircraft to be powered, you just click this and you can now hear everything beginning to start up, the lights coming on the screens, etc. So now we have electrical power to the aircraft. We're going to come back up here, we're going to flip on our nav and logo lights, which all the lights are here on the overhead panel, they're down on the bottom left side. Your seatbelt signs are over on the bottom right side of the overhead panel, so you can chuck those on as well, and the emergency exit lights, you can arm those with this switch. Now the Airbus basically works off the principle of if there's a light on, there's something wrong. So I believe it's called dark cockpit, but essentially as you're starting the aircraft, anywhere you see one of these white off lights, you just want to get rid of them. Now before we start the fuel up, I'm going to walk you through how to put fuel into the aircraft as the flight plan asks us to. So if you come up here and click on fuel, the first thing you're going to want to do is empty everything out of the aircraft. Now you can see the empty weight of the aircraft down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our flight plan, and you see where it says 136,538 pounds. That's our zero fuel weight. So that's what we want to try and get this figure to. So to do that, we just increase payload, and you're just gonna, unfortunately you can't put it in exactly, so you have to just fiddle with this to get as close as you can. That is nice and close, 136,471, that will do. Then we'll come up here to the fuel. We'll look at our flight plan. Our flight plan says we need 11,777 pounds of fuel. So again, we're gonna be looking down here, sorry, and we're just gonna increase this until we get more or less at 11,000. That's more or less spot on perfect just there, so I'm going to leave it at that. And then you can close this panel and we can continue setting up the aircraft. So if you look up here, you've got your these are the fuel pumps up here. Now on the overhead panel and on most panels, when you're starting up, if you see a white off light, you just want to get rid of it. So if anything's got a white light on it, for example the crew supply button down here, just press it, get rid of the light. Click all of these in, get rid of the lights. Then we want to start our ADIRS, which is essentially tells the aircraft where it is. It's like the GPS on board. So what we do is, as you see, they're labelled 1, 2 and 3. So we're going to switch this one on the left, which is number 1. We're going to switch it to nav. This on battery light comes up here, and we're going to wait for that to go out, which it has. Then we'll switch on number 2, wait for the light to go out, and then we'll switch on number 3. And as you see, that's all gone off now, so the ADIRS will begin booting up. They usually take about 7 minutes or so, it depends where you are. To get the screens running, to turn up the brightness, for these two main displays in front of you, which is the primary flight display and the navigation display, it's these little knobs here, so you can just twist those to the right. And then for these central displays, which is known as the ECAM, it's these knobs down here. And with the ECAM displays, you can also change what page this bottom one is showing just by using these buttons. And the top one will always show important information and the engine status. So I'll now give you a quick run through of the flight deck as promised earlier. So obviously I've showed you the overhead panel, I've showed you the displays. This section here is known as the main panel. Just above it here, this is the MCP, the mode control panel, which is where the, oh dear, nice. Right, let's try again. So this here is the MCP. This allows you to adjust the displays, as you can see, and then this here right in the middle is the FCU, the flight control unit. This is how you adjust the autopilot. Now in the Airbus, there are essentially two main modes to the autopilot. There's managed and there is selected. So for example, if there's dots and dashes over these, this is in managed mode. So after we take off, the speed will be managed by the flight computer, as will the heading. So it will turn on its own and it will adjust the speed on its own. Now if I click down, I now have manual control over the speed and heading, so I can adjust those all I want. And if I press up on them, they're not going to do it at the minute because I haven't got the flight directors on, but they'll go back into managed mode. Same with the altitude. For example, if there's an altitude restriction for 4,000 feet and you put 6,000 feet in and press managed, the climb will stop at 4,000 feet. So it will respect altitude restrictions essentially. if I was to press down and put it into selected, it would just immediately climb to that altitude at the fastest rate of climb. So coming down here, this is where the magic happens. We have the MCDU, which is the flight management computer. There's two of these at the moment in the fly-by-wire. They just mirror each other. You can't put separate things on them, unfortunately. I've showed you this in the middle. This is the ECAM controls, so you can see the different pages as I click these buttons here. This is very useful for finding out different things about the aircraft. We have the radio control panels here. This is how you tune the radios. So you tune it here in standby, and then you press this little swap button and it tunes the radio to that frequency. Obviously, being on VATSIM, that's quite an important thing. And then there is volume control just underneath here, but there's no need to mess with this. We have more lighting controls here, so this adjusts the built-in lights that you can't see them on it because it's day. Underneath that here you have the weather radar. It's not quite properly implemented, so we'll ignore that for today. Coming over to the middle here, obviously we have the throttle controls, pretty self-explanatory. In the Airbus there are thrust detents, so from here to about 60-70% this is manual thrust input. Past here you see this little climb marker here. That's essentially enabled auto throttle, so once the throttles are in the climb position, whatever speed is up here the plane will automatically maintain. Flex is the derated takeoff, so essentially it's usually about 96 to 98% thrust, which is for standard takeoffs, and then toga is full power. The throttles obviously also have reversers. Below that you have the engine controls, so this is for starting and stopping the engine. You have the master switches here and the mode selector. When you start the engines you put the mode selector to start and then you switch the engines on. I'm just going to make sure I haven't accidentally started them. Nope. Over to the right of that you have the transponder, another important thing for VATSIM because this is where you will put the squawk code in. You'll get given a squawk code by the air traffic controller who clears you for your flight plan, and it could get changed in the flight as well. So you just type it into here and that will get sent to the controller. Then you've got your speed brakes for slowing yourself down whether you're on the ground or in the air. You've got your flaps. You should know what the flaps do. If you don't, find another tutorial. I'm afraid I'm not going to go over that today. The cockpit door controls are here. You might want to lock those so you don't get anybody pay you an unexpected visit during your flight. You've got the rudder trim here. You can twist it to change it or just reset it for now. And your parking brake. And below that, this isn't modelled, but that's your emergency gear extension. And I believe that's everything. Off to your left here you have a very important coffee cup, of course, and you have a fly pad, which is essentially an EFB, which has some nifty features on it. So let's call up the air traffic controllers then. So we'll come down here to our radio control panel. Again, looking on vPilot, we can see that the clearance delivery frequency is 121.950, so we'll tune that on. Put it into our active channel.
India, my apologies, stand by, break easy 35354 Alpha, you are cleared to...
And as you can see, we are now on the frequency, so we'll wait for a gap and we shall get our clearance.
6233, easy 354 Alpha. Easy 354 Alpha, read back correct, QNH 1022, information uniform is current.
Seabird AA67 requesting IFR clearance.
354 Alpha.
Gatwick delivery, good evening, easy 778, stand 105, Airbus A320, information uniform, QNH 1022, request IFR to Manchester.
Easy 778, Gatwick delivery, good evening, you're cleared to Manchester via the Lambourne to X-ray departure, runway 26 left, squawk 0270.
cleared to Manchester via the Lambourne 2 X-ray departure, runway 26 left, squawk 0270, easy 778.
Easy 778, read back correct.
So that is our flight plan clearance obtained. He's given us our departure, he's given us a squawk which was 0270, so we'll pop that in there now. I have just turned off the radio so I can speak to you. What we'll do now is we'll set the transponder to automatic and we'll turn on altitude reportage just so we don't forget to later. Essentially this modifies the mode of your transponder, this one up here, and this one just sends your altitude to air traffic control, but it won't be relevant until we take off. Anyway, so now we can come up to the MCDUs and we can begin flight planning. So not flight planning, sorry, putting our flight plan in. So what we'll do here is we'll click the init button for initialization. We'll get our flight plan up. So we are going to be going from Gatwick to Manchester. So we put Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, which is the iCal for Gatwick, / Echo Golf Charlie Charlie, and we pop this up here. Then you want to click return down here, and that should plug the airport in for you. If you look over on your nav display, you should be able to see it now. Then you want to set your flight number, so easy 778 in my case. Put that in there. Your cost index, which we worked out to be 8 earlier, that's just what EasyJet's is, and the flight level, which is 180. Then using these arrow keys you can change the page, so we'll go on to the second page, which is the fuel prediction page. So what we'll do here is we'll click next to the 0 fuel weight and it will automatically put it in at the bottom, and then we can just click again to put it in there. Now it says block there, so if we click the fuel button and look at our fuel on the ECAM, it's 11.6, so we'll put 11.6 in here, which is £11,600 obviously. That pops it in there, and that is the fuel prediction and the airport initialization all done. Next we can come down here to flight plan, click on our departure, which is Echo Golf Kilo Kilo. We'll click departure, and it's going to be a 26 left takeoff. So we'll click 26 left, find our given departure, which was Lambourne 2 X-ray. Here it is. Click it there. Click. Make sure it's showed up at the top, which it has. So we'll click insert, and it's added our departure to the flight plan, as you can see on here. So now we'll go ahead and put the rest of our flight plan in. So after Lambourne 2 X-ray, sorry, it's going to take us onto an airway. So if you click on Lambourne, click Airways, and then the airway is November 57. So we type in November 57, put it in on the left here, and this airway is going to take us to the Welling waypoint. So then we put Welling into the MCDU and put it here on the right side. That's going to insert all the waypoints between Lambourne and Welling that are along the November 57 airway, so it saves you a lot of time. The next one is Tango 420. Pop that in there. That's going to take us to TNT, or Trent as the actual waypoint is called in real life. Pop that in there, and that's all done. Then you can come down here, press insert, scroll right down to the bottom now, and you'll see the only thing we have to do now is put the approach in. Now according to my flight plan, it's going to be a Dane 2 Alpha arrival, and at the moment I believe, I'll just double check, they are using runway 23 right at Manchester. You can find that out by typing .ATIS and then your destination airport _ ATIS, and presuming there's control online, you'll get the ATIS in your vPilot. So 23 right, load that up. We will find Dane 2 Alpha. There it is. Load that up. Click insert here. And now if we return, it should have put the whole flight plan in. which it has. And then just to double check, you can switch this to plan mode, and as you scroll through your flight plan, you can view the various different waypoints, as you can see. Anyway, that is the MCDU setup in terms of the flight plan. The last thing you have to do is the aircraft performance. That's reached by the perf page here. So on the Airbus A320 we have 4 stages of flaps, which is flaps 0, 1, 2, 3 and full. For takeoff, generally you use flaps 1, there's no reason not to. So pop flaps 1 in there, just type it in where it says flaps. Then you can put the flex temperature on. There are calculators to do this online. If I can find one, I will link it. If not, that's why it's not in the description. But essentially, as a general rule, I just like to put 55 in there. What that is that's your engine D rate. So that sets the optimum takeoff power. Then once you've put those 2 figures in, if you just click, just like you did with the 0 fuel weight, you can insert the V1, VR and V2 speeds manually. V1 obviously is when you can no longer abort the takeoff. VR is the speed that you should be pulling back and taking off at, and V2 is your minimum flying speed essentially. Then we have trans out here, that's transition altitude. Again, that's a case of going on Google and finding out what it is, but in the most of the UK it's 6,000, so I'm just going to put 6,000 in. Basically, once I go past 6,000 feet, I'm going to change the QNH from 1023 to standard pressure, which is 1013 hectopascals. And that is the MCDU completely set up. So we are ready to go now. In terms of that, there is still more to do, unfortunately. So what we'll do now is we'll come over here. We'll find the APU master switch here, press on, and now if we look down here, just cancel that out, you'll see the APU page has come on. You want to wait for this flap open sign to come on. Once that's come on, you can press the start button and the APU will begin to spin up. Once the APU has started, it will display this available sign up here. So that now means, and you can see it says up there as well, that means the APU is now supplying power to the plane, so we can disconnect the ground power, or the external power rather, and we are now basically fully independent. We're running off our own generated power. So we'll get ready for push and start now. So we'll head over to the light switch, we'll switch on the beacon light, which is to let everyone around us know that we're about to start our engines up. We'll check for any unwanted lights. I don't see any. And for the sake of realism, we'll check the engine fire detectors are working by pressing the test buttons. Now that we're completely ready, we're going to let the delivery controller know that we're fully ready, and he should hand us over to ground to get our push and start clearance. Easy 778 fully ready.
Easy 778, hold position, contact planner on 134.225, enjoy the flight.
Hold position, contact planner 134.225, easy 778, bye bye.
Gatwick delivery, good evening, Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel with information, Victor A320 stand 113, request IFR clearance to Manchester.
If you've let delivery know you're fully ready, he'll hand you off to the ground or the planner, whoever, the call signs tend to vary, but whoever's basically in charge of aircraft movements on the ground. Now, before we request push and start, we'll just make sure some basic things are ready to go. So we'll switch on our flight directors, very important, just means that the autopilot works properly. That should allow us obviously to set this all to managed, and according to our SID we'll set our initial climb, which is going to be 4,000 in this case. Actually, mind you, hang on, if I come down to flight plan, Yeah, we can set 6,000 just because in managed mode we shouldn't climb above. We should stay on the flight path, basically, the noise abatement procedure. Obviously make sure your seatbelt signs are on, your beacon, your nav lights are on, your APU's running. Make sure everything is programmed in. And then you are ready to request push and start. Gatwick Planner, Easy 778, stand 105, request push and start.
Easy 778, Gatwick Planner, hello, hold position, you're number 4.
Hold position number 4, Easy 778.
Easy 778, hold position, contact Gatwick Ground now 121.8, bye.
Hold position over to ground 121.8, thanks, Easy 778. So I'll tune 121.8 in the radio and I will call up for push and start.
Ground Easy 354 round for taxi.
Easy 354 Alpha Taxi, Kilo Hotshot Papa.
Taxi Kilo Hotshot Papa, Easy 354.
Gatwick Ground, Easy 778, request push and start, stand 105.
Easy 778, give way to company Airbus 320, passing behind left to right, then stand 106, correction, stand 105, push and start approved, face east.
Give way to the company Airbus A320, taxiing left to right behind, then push and start approved, face east, Easy 778. So a little explanation of what he's just asked me. As you see, this guy behind me is basically got the right of way.
Alternate taxi route. The air bridge is not an air bridge.
So he's going to go behind me.
Oh, you're unable to take me, man.
And once he's gone behind me, I can push back. Essentially, he has the right of way at the moment. So as soon as he's clear from behind me, I can push back.
Quebec, hold short Juliet.
Taxi Quebec, hold short Juliet.
While we're waiting, I will show you a useful little website. This is ChartFox. ChartFox is very useful. Once you've registered for VATSIM, you can use this, and you simply put in the iCal code of whatever airport you're at, and it gives you all the charts. So I can get the chart for where I am right now. So we're at stand 105, sorry, which is here, and we can see everything. Anyway, looking behind us now, that other aircraft is clear, so we'll release the parking brake. We'll press Shift P to initiate pushback. The little pushback truck will come over. As we're doing that, we'll come down here to the engine control panel, switch this to ignition mode. We'll just wait to begin pushing back before we actually start the engine.
Alpha 2 via Juliet Papa Alpha Sierra.
Easy 8986, thank you. Continue taxi stand 1075 Romeo and Kilo.
Now before you start your engines, you're going to need to switch on the APU bleed up here. Once that is switched on, you can come down here, switch ignition mode on, and flick forward the master switch. And then you will see the fan speeds, the exhaust temperature and the fuel flow begin to increase as the engine starts. Generally start with engine 2, wait for that to finish starting up, and then start engine 1, but the actual order doesn't matter.
Scandinavian 666, continue taxi stand 20 via Juliet.
As you can see here, it now says available on the ECAM. That means that engine's fully started, so we can come down, start engine 1 again. And just leave that to start up. While you're starting the engines again, you can just run through everything, make sure your flight directors are on, your autopilot panel is set, Everything's ready to go in terms of your MCDU and your overhead panel.
Holding point Alpha 3 via Papa and Alpha November, Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel.
And both our engines are now available, so we'll come up here, we can switch off the APU and the APU bleed. We will then come down here, switch off ignition mode to set it back to norm, set your flaps to flaps 1 for takeoff, arm your speed brakes by pulling them up there, and in the Airbus you set your auto brakes to max, which is with this panel. And this is also how we'll bring the landing gear up later. You can see the flaps on the ECAM here, so they're set to 1, and it also shows you the ground spoilers are armed. You can click recall down here to see if there was any other messages that you missed, but in my case there's not. The last thing we'll do is we'll come down here to the weather radar and we'll switch on predictive wind shear. I'm not sure if this is modelled in this version of the fly-by-wire yet, but essentially it will warn you if you're about to encounter wind shear. And once all of that's done, we can request taxi, so we will wait for a gap in the frequency and we'll request taxi and get ready to copy down some taxiways. Easy 778, ready for taxi.
Easy 778, taxi, holding point Alpha 3 via Papa and Alpha November.
Taxi holding point Alpha 3 via Papa and Alpha November, easy 778. So we're going to head to Alpha 3 via Papa and Alpha November. So again, looking on here, Alpha 3 is down here, and it's going to be via Papa, which is this taxiway here. Keep in mind we're here, so we'll taxi along Kilo, onto Papa, down Alpha November to there. Nice, simple taxi. So now we've got our taxi clearance, we'll throttle up, and we shall make our way to Alpha 3. Now, as you begin taxiing, you're going to want to bring your lights on as well, and probably remove the parking brake. There we go. So you can put your taxi lights on up here again, and turn on your runway turn-off lights as well, which are essentially your side-facing taxi lights.
No, I'm actually, it's a house in my way, and I'm stuck. So give me a little moment there.
Alright, no worries.
And it would appear that somebody over here has crashed into a house. That is the beauty of VATSIM, you can encounter anything. As you're taxiing along, if you click this little takeoff config button down here, it will automatically check that everything is ready to go on here, so you can see the auto brakes set to max. Signs are on, yes they are. The cabin is, we can check that by going up here and pressing the call all button. That just sends a message to the cabin crew. Looking out for Alpha November here, which is this turning.
So ground, hello, Shuttle 9 Yankee, request
just here.
Start from gate 109 Yankee.
Ryanair 976, QT taxi stand 1.
Stand 555 via Romeo Lima, Corvacasa.
PC 778, contact tower course only 124.225, bye bye.
Contact tower course only 124.225, easy 778. So we just got handed over to the tower, so we'll go, we'll tune 124.225, and it's also a good idea once I've done that to tune the next frequency, which I believe will be 126.825, so I'll just pop that in as well. Now the controller did say call sign only, so we'll just call up this next controller with our call sign. Gatwick Tower, easy 778.
Easy 778, behind the landing, 2E737-800, via Alpha 1, line up 26 left behind.
Behind the landing, 2E737-800, line up Alpha 1, 26 left behind, easy 778. So we're going to wait for the 737, I think he said 767, but whoopsie daisies. We're going to wait for the landing aircraft, which we can just see over there. we'll roll up to Alpha 1, which is this holding point.
Papa, this cleared land 26 left.
Cleared land 26 left, 473 Papa.
And we will, once he's landed, we'll roll out onto the runway and line up, ready to go.
Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel, copy 5.
Now he's passed us, we can throttle up, roll out onto the runway.
Stop line 4000 feet, Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel.
Again, make sure the flight directors are on, which they are. We'll put our strobe light to auto, nose light to take off, and our landing lights to on. We'll also come down to the transponder and flick it to TARA mode.
Spirit 7, go to tower, hello. Hold mic 1 and set your squawk to 4222. EG778, the wind's 190 degrees 6 knots, runway 26 left, clear for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, 26 left, EG778. Clear for takeoff, we'll throttle up to 40%. 40% N1 that is, sorry. And then we'll throttle all the way up into flex. Looking for man, flex, SRS and runway on the PFD. We'll push the nose down a little bit, use the rudder to counter the drift and the wind. At 80 knots we'll reduce the back pressure on the stick. And V1, there's rotate, we'll pull back on the stick to bring ourselves up off the ground, and we have a positive rate of climb, so we'll bring our gear up. And now following the flight directors.
EG778, fly runway heading, climb to altitude 4,000 feet.
Fly runway heading, climb 4,000 feet, EG778. We'll pop the autopilot on now. We're going to fly runway heading, which is 260, and we'll climb ourselves up to 4,000 feet. This is how we use the selected heading mode, as you can see, along with the selected altitude mode. I've put the autopilot on, so it's flying itself now. If you look over here, you can see lever climb coming up on the MCP, so we'll move our throttles down to climb mode, and we can bring our flaps up now as we approach the maximum flaps deployment speed. So the aircraft's now going to fly that selected heading, and it will climb to 4,000 feet.
EG778, speed 220 knots or less.
Speed 220 knots or less, EG778. So we'll set the speed as well, 220 knots. There we go. The aircraft will decelerate down to 220 knots. We can disarm the speed brakes as well, and we're leveled off at 4,000. This is not, this won't always happen when you depart. This is mainly due to the fact there is an event going on and the airspace is very busy at the moment. So I could have picked a better time to fly, but I thought this would have been the best way to show you, because you can see everything.
EG778, turn right heading 080 degrees.
Turn right heading 080 degrees, EG778. So turning right to 080 degrees. If you scroll up, that will go right. If you scroll down, that goes left. Try not to turn past it.
Yankee Tower, hello, hold Alpha 3.
Alpha 3, shutdown Yankee.
EG778, resume navigation direct to Sunav, climb to altitude 5,000 feet.
Resume on navigation direct Sunav, climb 5,000 feet, EG778.
EG778, contact London Control 134.125, bye-bye.
Over to London Control 134.125, EG778. So there was a couple of instructions there. Climb to 5,000, so we'll select that in there, and resume on navigation direct Sunav. So we'll click direct here, select Sunav, click insert, and that draws our flight plan a direct path to Sunav. We'll then set our heading to managed. That puts us in the that steers us towards that low point, and we'll change to 134.125.
I'll short runner, contact ground, 120 Marine, sorry, what's the Quebec?
Sure, Sam, if you have to set what's on March frequencies.
Down to flight level 130, easy 507.
Descend to 5
London Control, hello, easy 778.
778 London Control, hello, climb now to altitude 6,000 feet, report your passing altitude.
Climbing now 6,000, passing 5,000, easy 778.
Easy 2691, turn right, heading 120 degrees, descend flight level 100.
Now, I'm not entirely sure if there's still a speed restriction for us, so just to be cautious, we'll remain at 220 degrees for now.
Easy 778, climb now, flight level 80.
Climb now, flight level 80 on easy 778. So there we go, we'll climb to flight level 80, and because it's a flight level now, we'll switch to standard pressure because we've fast, 6,000 feet. Fly heading 060 degrees, easy 778.
Figure 2691, descend flight level 90, check your speed 220 knots.
And we'll turn to 060 degrees as the controller has asked.
2691, turn right, correction, descend flight level 90, check your G778, climb flight level 130.
Climb flight level 130, is there any speed restriction, easy 778?
Negative brake, November 5 kilo.
There we go, so we'll set the speed to managed and we will climb to flight level 130 now. Again, we'll set it to selected to get the best rate of climb. As we pass 10,000 feet now, we can switch off the landing lights and we can switch off the basically this whole bottom row of lights. Turn left heading 330 degrees, easy 778. Also follow the instructors, follow the controller's instructions. So we'll turn to 330 and we can switch off the seatbelt sign now because it's a nice clear day and there's no significant turbulence. Down there is rather blurry, that's Brands Hatch race course. Just a little fact for you.
EC778 heading to London 129.425.
Report heading to London 129.425, easy 778. There we go, so he's given us the instruction to report our heading to 129.425, so we'll tune 129.425 and we're going to have to report our heading to that controller, so 425, pop that in there, wait for a gap in the frequency and we'll advise him of our heading. London Control, hello, easy 778, flight level 130, heading 330.
Easy 778, London Control, hello, climb now, flight level 180.
Climb now, flight level 180, easy 778. We'll do the rest of this climb in managed mode just because there aren't any altitude restrictions now along the route. It just tends to be a bit more fuel efficient. Off to the left there is London.
Easy 778, resume own navigation direct Welling.
Resume own navigation direct Welling, easy 778. There we go, so we'll press direct here. Welling, direct, and we will set our heading back to managed mode. Now with everything in managed mode, the aircraft will climb itself to flight level 180, it will set the speed automatically. Because we're above 10,000 feet, we can go above 250 knots, so we're sitting at about 290 knots at the minute in terms of our indicated airspeed, and we are now routing ourselves direct to Welling.
London Control, Thomas Cliff 555.
Thomas Cliff 555, London Control, hello, report your clear level.
Yeah, fine, flight level 280 should be flying to.
So we're at the cruise now, flight level 180, we've just levelled off.
What's
Easy 778, contact London Control 127.1.
Contact London Control 127.1, easy 778. and there is another controller handoff, so we'll change to 1271.
1311, thank you very much for
And call him up. Now we just need to tell him our altitude because we're not on a heading or anything, so we'll just let him know that we're at 180. London Control, easy 778, flight level 180.
107, correction, easy 778, London Control, good evening, roger, break, shuttle 18 Papa Mike, fly radar heading at 020 degrees.
Now we're at the cruise, there's a couple of things you can do. Check your engine temperatures and your fuel levels. We've got more than enough fuel and the engine temperatures are just fine. Appreciate the views, make sure you're still flying your route, which we are. Marvel at your speed and show it off. We're actually not going that quickly. 373 knots. If you look on the nav display here up in the top left, that's your ground speed and that's your true airspeed, and then up in the top right here you can see your distance to the next waypoint, which is 30 nautical miles.
Easy 354 Alpha, contact London Control 133.7, good night.
Now in this version of the fly-by-wire, I can't speak for future versions, obviously I'm recording this on the 24th of February. The top of descent does not appear on the nav display. Now that may be different in the future, but at the moment it doesn't appear on the nav display. So you either have to work it out in your head, or more conveniently on VATSIM the controllers will just tell you when to descend. We should have control the whole way to Manchester, so they'll let us know when we need to descend.
Hotel, when ready, descend flight level 200, level by
as you just heard, just there.
Easy 156, turn left heading 120 degrees.
What you see down there is the Millbrook Vehicle Proving Ground, just outside of Milton Keynes, in case you was interested. And that down there is RAF Cranfield. You can actually see what airports are near you by pressing airport up here, and you can see all of the surrounding airports. So you can see Cranfield is below us, which is Echo Golf Tango Charlie, etc.
Hello, Charlie, feedback with Mike Decimal 799.
Shuttle 23 Quebec, London Control, hello, roger, when ready, descend flight level 150, level by Kidley.
150 by Kidley, Shuttle 23 Quebec.
Shuttle 23 Quebec on conversion, speed 310 or greater.
On conversion, 310 or greater, and for 150 to Kidley, yeah?
Affirm.
London Control, again, I finished for 244, that's 5,000.
Good, 244, London Control, hello, flight now, flight level 140.
It's getting a little bit turbulent, so I'm going to pop the seatbelt sign back on, like a responsible pilot.
Easy 70 Papa Lima London, roger, break Easy 778, contact Scottish Control 133.2, goodbye.
Over to Scottish Control 133.2, Easy 778. 133.2, that's Scottish Control we're going to be talking to, so we've passed into Scottish airspace now. Scottish Control, good evening, Easy 778, flight level 180.
Easy 778, Scottish Control, roger.
And it's as easy as that, but they sound like they're ignoring you, they're not, you're just confirming to them that you're on their frequency. So don't think that they're ignoring you, they obviously just have nothing to say to you if they say roger. Now, you can see we're approaching some cloud here. If you look up here, you have anti-ice for the engines and the wing. So if it's below 10 degrees, your temperature's down here on the bottom left of this screen. TAT is the true air temperature outside, which is -5, which is under 10 degrees. So what you're going to want to do is you want to put on your anti-ices as you're coming into a cloud, otherwise you're going to get some nasty ice build up. I'm going to do it a little prematurely, just because I'll forget otherwise, but we'll just switch that on as we come into this cloud now.
Easy 778, descend flight level 140.
Descend flight level 140, Easy 778. We'll put 140 into the autopilot, we'll set it to managed so it gives us a nice smooth descent down to 140. And as we're entering this cloud, it's beginning to get a little bit turbulent. I think the seatbelt signs are already on. Yep. As you come up to your descent, I've left it a little late, but I'll walk you through it now. You see it's popped up on the MCDU. It says enter destination data. So you head to Perth, press next phase here, and you want to put the QNH in for the destination airport. So we're going to Manchester. We'll request controller info here. So the transition level is going to be 60. So we put 6,000 in. The surface wind is 190 at 9 knots.
Easy 778 descend, flight level 100.
Descend flight level 100, easy 778. So we'll change that to 10,000 feet, flight level 100, and we'll get back to programming for our approach. The temperature we need as well, so we can see the temperature is 12 degrees, and the QNH is 1015, so 12 degrees, 1015. And then on the right side you have your mean decision altitude or your decision height. I tend to use decision height because that's height above the ground, and that's just the altitude at which you'll abort your landing. So we'll set that to 200, and that will just give us the minimum call out at 200 feet. For landing we'll use full flaps because the winds are calm. If the winds are really, really bad, you might want to use flaps free instead, but we'll leave that on full flaps. If you do use flaps free, you want to come up to your top panel and switch on the landing flap free mode up here, otherwise you're going to get some nasty call outs as you're landing that are going to distract you. So that's all set up now, and that will automatically switch into the approach mode as we approach the airfield. We're out of the clouds now, so we can switch off the anti-ice for a bit, just to save some fuel. As we level off at flight level 100, we're going to want to turn the seatbelt signs on, but they're already on, which is all good, and we can bring this bottom row of lights back on as well, because those are the landing lights. Now as we pass this little pink D on our flight plan, the aircraft is going to begin decelerating to the approach speed.
Easy 778 descend, flight level 80.
Descend flight level 80, easy 778.
And easy 778, contact Manchester radar 118.575.
Over to Manchester radar 118.575, easy 778. So we'll tune 118.575. And we'll begin our descent to 8,000, which we've already done. As we pass 10,000 feet, we should be decelerating to 250. We're a little fast, so we'll pop the speed brakes out just to help slow ourselves down. And we will call up Manchester as well. Pop the landing lights on. Manchester radar, easy 778, passing 9,000 for 8,000.
Easy 778, good evening, Manchester radar, landing, correction, vectoring for the RF approach, runway 23 right, fly heading 345, descend, flight level 70.
Fly heading 345, descend flight level 70, easy 778.
Papa, Uniform India,
so we'll turn to 345,
good evening.
Descend to 70, and as you can see the warning's just come up for the anti-ice because we're in a cloud, so we'll pop the anti-ice back on. Our speed is also back to 250 knots, so we'll put the speed brakes back up in order to avoid slowing ourselves down further. And the aircraft, because it's in managed mode, it's now going to hold 250 knots because we're under 10,000 feet. At this altitude you can switch on the landing system, the LS on the on the
Speed 220 heading
MCP panel,
Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel.
and this will allow you to see the glide slope on the PFD.
Easy 778, turn left in 340 degrees.
Turn left 340 degrees, easy 778. And we're levelling off at 7,000. It's getting quite bumpy now.
Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel, continue at left turn heading 200 degrees, descend altitude 4,000 feet.
Continue heading 270, descend to 4000, Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel.
What the air traffic controller is doing, as he told us a moment ago, is that he's going to vector us manually onto the ILS approach.
Lufthansa 5 Hotel, confirm the left turn heading 200 degrees.
Left heading 200, when established, descend to glide path, speed 200 knots, Lufthansa 5 Papa Hotel.
Easy 778, descend flight level 60.
Descend flight level 60, easy 778. Again, set 6,000 feet, and just press up on the thing so we begin descending. Press up on the knob, sorry, to push it in essentially, to set managed mode, and as you can see we're descending again.
Easy 778, 28 track miles touchdown, descend to altitude 5,000 feet, QNH 1015.
Descend 5,000 feet, QNH 1015, easy 778. There we go, so he's given us the QNH, which is 1015. He's told us to descend to 5,000 feet. He's not saying flight levels anymore because we're on a QNH, so he's saying the actual altitude in feet. So we'll descend down to that now. We're going to do an open descent, as I mentioned, to get ourselves down a little bit quicker. To increase your descent rate as well, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to pull back on the speed brake. Speed 220 knots, easy 778. We've been given a speed restriction there as well. So we'll pull back on the speed brake to help us decelerate, but also keep our descent rate consistent. I'm going to manually activate the approach phase by clicking perf, then activate approach phase. This just configures the aircraft ready for the approach. So if I was to set this back to managed, it would just decelerate me further down to the approach speed. The aircraft works that out itself. There is an aircraft in front of us as well, as you can see.
Easy 778, descent altitude 3,500 feet.
Descend 3,500 feet, easy 778. To get increments of 100 instead of 1,000, you just flick the little switch behind the altitude knob on the A320. So 3,500, and we're continuing to descend. I'm going to leave the speed brakes deployed just so I can get that optimum descent rate. I'm also going to put flaps 1 out now, just to help slow us down a little bit more. What you can hear in the background is the radio altimeter, so that's our altitude above the actual ground, which is 2,500 feet now.
Easy 778, speed 180 knots.
Speed 180 knots, easy 778. Just going to leave the speed brakes out a little longer then while we decelerate to 180 knots.
Easy 778, turn left heading 260 degrees.
Turn left heading 260 degrees, easy 778.
Easy 778, cleared ILS approach, runway 23 right.
Cleared ILS approach, runway 23 right, easy 778. So we'll turn right, we'll pop the speed brakes back up now. We will arm them again by pushing up, and we'll give it flaps 2. So flaps 2 is out now, you can see it here. Going to leave the anti-ice on just a bit longer while we're still in this cloud. Set the auto brake. I'm going to set it to low. That's just over here. So auto brake is set to low. My spoilers
EG778,
are now
speed
armed.
160 knots until 4 DME.
Speed 160 till 4 DME, easy 778. Now the controller would like me to decrease to 160 knots until 4 DME. Essentially what this means is at 4 miles from the runway, which I'll see down in the bottom left here, I'll decelerate to my final approach speed, which is going to be about 140 knots. I've now intercepted the localizer. The way I did that, I didn't get the chance to point it out to you, is you just want to click on this little approach button here once you're in range of the localizer and you're cleared for the localizer by air traffic control, and the aircraft will steer itself onto the ILS. And it's raining, so I'm going to pop the wipers on. Now the outside temperature is 2 degrees. Because it is raining, I'm going to leave the anti-ice on a little longer, but I will turn off the wing anti-ice for now to save some of that fuel economy. Keeping an eye on my distance from the runway, which is now 10.5 nautical miles, and you'll notice that I've intercepted the glide slope by the pink diamond being level with the yellow line here.
EG778, contact Manchester Tower 118.625, good evening.
Over to tower 118625, easy 778. Contact the tower on 118625. Manchester Tower, easy 778, ILS to 3 right.
And easy 778, continue approach, reduce to minimum.
Continue approach, reduce to minimum speed, easy 778.
Golf Charlie Delta Hotel.
So we've been cleared to reduce our speed early, so we'll set this to managed mode and the aircraft will decelerate down to 140 knots. To aid in decelerating, I'm now going to put the gear down and put flaps 3 out. As you can see, the landing gear lights have gone red as the gear is in motion, and they should all go green to indicate all the gear is successfully down and locked. There we go.
Easy 40, thank you.
The runway is in sight just over there. And we are now fully aligned with the runway, and we're still on the glide slope perfectly. I'm going to put full flaps out now just to get our stall speed down as much as possible. Full flaps is out. We have the runway in sight. The temperature's now above 10 degrees, so we'll bring off all the anti-ices and we'll put the wipers back on because it started raining again. And we'll just wait for our clearance to land from air traffic control. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee a good landing today. I will try my best. That's all I can say. Typically, I disengage the autopilot about 300 feet or so. It's down to your own discretion, but at the moment there's no auto land in the FlyByWire A320. Again, like I said earlier with the top of descent, that may be different in the future.
Runway 23 right, you're clear to land, surface winds of 200 at 7.
Clear to land 23 right, easy 778. There is our clearance to land. As I said, auto land isn't implemented yet. It might be in the future, so if you're watching this a couple of months in the future, it might be there and you can use it, but right now it's not implemented, so I'm going to disconnect the autopilot and fly manually.
As well from the A320 Neo ahead. And also, sorry, one more thing, where would you like to park today? Anywhere you like, Catton's usual. Okay, thank you. I'll relay it to the ground. I see a 5-3 Bravo after the match.
If you look over onto this panel here, like it did with Takeoff, it gives us a quick checklist. We'll alert the cabin by pressing call all. And now everything's green. There's nothing on there that's blue. We are ready to land. The runway's in sight just ahead of me. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot and fly this thing onto the runway as best as I can. So looking for the PAPI lights, want to keep it 2 whites, 2 reds. And looking for the touchdown zone as well, 100 feet above minimums. Continue. Now when the Airbus says retard, I want to pull back the throttles to idle. Flaring, bringing the throttles back. Hold the nose above the ground, back wheels are down. We can activate the reverse thrusters. Steer ourselves back onto the centre line. And 80 knots, we can idle the throttle again.
And easy 778.
Disengage the reversers.
To Manchester, you can take the next right high speed. Contact the ground 121.85.
Next right high speed, contact ground 12185, easy 778, thanks. So there we go, by high speed it just means a rapid exit taxiway like the one we're on.
And Golf Charlie Delta Hotel Uniform, continue with your approach. Continue approach, Golf.
And we will contact the ground once we're nice and clear of the runway.
Right, you'll clear for takeoff, the surface is the 2007.
So we'll head over to 12185. Manchester ground, good evening, easy 778.
Easy 778 to Manchester ground. Hello, welcome to Manchester. Taxi stand 8 via Alpha, Charlie and Lima.
Taxi stand 8 via Alpha, Charlie and Lima, easy 778. So I've got my chart up again, not that you can see, but I've got my chart up, looking for stand 8, and we will follow the taxiways he's given us, which is Alpha, Charlie and Lima. We can turn off our landing light here and set our nose light to taxi, and I also like to start the APU, so we'll put that on, wait for flap open to appear down here. We've got flap open down there, so we'll start the APU. Can switch off the strobe lights, calm down the wipers, and we will follow taxiway Alpha. As you're taxiing along, you can bring your flaps all the way back up and disarm your speed brakes. And stand 8 is the second on our right.
Could you please repeat the
As you can see, the APU is available now as well, so we can turn the APU bleed on to switch on the air conditioning. Stand 8, you can see the marking on the ground. As you're turning into the gate, turn off your nose light and your turn off lights to avoid blinding everyone on the ground.
And apart from that, it's correct.
Sample 1 Romeo, yeah, thank you very much. Shuttle 9 Whiskey Romeo.
Shuttle 9 Whiskey Romeo, correct, thank you.
I'm not too sure what's going on here with that tug, so I'm just going to taxi through it, as you do, and pull up here at the gate. Make sure that the APU is running and connected, and then you can shut off your engines just by flicking them each off. Now the game at this stage tends to give you this screen, just click continue to get out of it. Once you're parked up, you can switch off your radios, you can turn off your flight directors, your landing systems, switch everything off, make sure your flaps and your speed brakes are up, make sure the parking brake's on. You should have ground power available, so you can switch to ground power, switch off the APU bleed, switch off the APU, and you can switch the beacon light off as well to let people on the ground know it's safe to approach. I'll turn my wipers off. You can, presuming that this is your last flight of the day in the real world, you turn off the ADIRS. And then you'd turn off all the screens as well. Just out of respect for the next flight crew, I suppose. And then you can disconnect the batteries just by switching them off like that.
Taxi holding point Juliet 1, runway 23.
And at the minute the APU is still spun up, so when I disconnect the ground power nothing's going to happen. But to switch off the APU, just switch off the bus tie. And the aircraft's cold and dark. And that is it. That is how you fly the A320 Neo on VATSIM. Once you're parked up, you don't have to say anything to the ground controller. It's as simple as that. And once your flight's done, you can just click onto disconnect, close vPilot, and you can exit your game. Well, if you made it this far, then congratulations. You should now know how to basically do a VATSIM flight, and at the same time you should have some basic knowledge on how to fly the FlyByWire A320 Neo. I just want to say thanks for watching. If you did watch the whole way through, leave a like or a comment if you've got any questions, and be sure to subscribe to me as well. Hopefully I'll be doing some more videos like this, maybe just some general flying on the channel as well. But I hope you enjoyed, and for now I will see you next time. Bye bye.